This is Dr. Chris's Radio Horror program on 91.3 FM, WCUW in Worcester, Massachusetts. And I am interviewing tonight GG Silverman, the author behind Vegan Teenage Zombie Hunters. Thank you for coming on the show with us.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
For anyone not familiar with your story, tell us a little bit about Vegan Teenage Zombie Huntress. Not Hunters, Huntress.
Yes, so she is a 17-year-old vegan and feminist, and she thinks prom is bad for girls. But no one at school has been listening to her message. So on prom night, she drags her best friend to school to protest in a last chance to save souls and convert girls to her ideas. But it doesn't go well, and then everyone at prom turns into zombies, and then she and her best friend are trapped in the school, and they decide to take a chance on love and save their crushes because they realize they'd never taken a chance on love before. So it's a tale of friendship, redemption. The main character, Clarissa, she goes from being someone who kind of thought she was holier than everyone else in the beginning, and at the end she realizes that she was kind of doing high school wrong and should have made an effort to make friends with more people that she kind of judged really harshly. So it's kind of a mashup of like Daria, Mean Girls, and Shaun of the Dead. So kind of imagine the snarky tone of Daria mashed up with some of the comedy of Mean Girls and that whole like bullying thing that was going on in Mean Girls. And then obviously Shaun of the Dead and the kind of slapstick comedy that was there. So yeah, it's like a really fun, funny, action-packed girl power story.
Why would she be against prom? That's one thing that kind of struck me.
She thinks that prom is basically, well, if you look at proms around the country and sort of how they've evolved, like girls are spending probably thousands of dollars on getting ready for prom. So they're buying these extremely fancy designer gowns. They are
By their
maybe
own
starving
choice, by the way.
themselves to fit into these gowns. They are possibly altering their bodies. And then there's like the whole sexual pressure that might come along with it. So she sees that happening and she thinks that's pretty extreme. So that's her reasoning.
What made you decide to go this route with vegans and feminism and a zombie story?
Um, it was sort of this natural thing. Like I didn't sit there and go like, I'm going to write about vegans and feminists, but one day this voice just literally came to me. Like I was taking a walk, and I do sort of a lot of my processing on my writing when I walk my dog. And so it literally, like this monologue just came to me, this just sort of funny girl who's kind of stuck up and has an attitude. And that monologue ended up being the first page of the book. So I thought, hey, this is really funny. Let's follow this and see where it goes. And I kind of felt like the whole like vegan thing definitely clashes with the idea of having to kill zombies. So that presents a major conflict and major opportunities for comedy. Like, well, how do you kill zombies if you're not violent? So, yeah, it was just sort of this weird out of nowhere thing. And I was like, let's follow this train of thought.
Yeah, you definitely can't kill zombies without violence. You
Definitely.
can't talk them to go away. They're not going to listen. They're going to eat you.
They are going to eat you for sure.
They're coming to get you, Margaret.
They are coming to
Barbara.
get
They're
you.
coming to get you, Barbara. That screwed up my
That's right,
impression.
it is
Oh,
Barbara.
yes, we are not really zombie fans, apparently. The book was published in 2014. What has the reception of the book really been?
So far, like it's definitely gotten good reviews. I am an independently published author, so like I'm doing all of my own PR. I'm doing all of my own promotion. For the most part, most people that have read it have loved it. Of course, there's no project in the world that everyone universally loves, but I feel really lucky in that I'm getting, for the most part, like 4-star, 5-star reviews. So that's been really good. And, when people encounter it, they laugh out loud and they're like, oh my gosh, I need to read this because just the title alone is so funny. So yeah, like especially like when I do a con or a fair, like I was at a book festival a few weekends ago, and people would stop and say, "Oh my God, what is this? I need to get it." So so yeah, it's been good. Like as an independent author, though, it's I'm going to tell you, like every author, they have to really work hard and pull their own weight and just be out there all the time, like promoting. But that said, I'm doing pretty well. Like I've just about earned back my initial investment in the book. And so I think in a few months from there on in, it will be all profit. So it's definitely an empowering experience to kind of be the master of your own domain and put your own book out there and see where that takes you. So, but it's a lot of hard work. I won't lie about that.
Are you a vegan yourself?
I was for a little while. I have so many food allergies that I was almost like starving myself to sickness. So
Yikes.
yeah, it wasn't for me. I have friends who've been doing it for years and they're fine, but like yeah, it just wasn't for me. So where I'm at now is I try to eat 2 vegetarian meals a day, and then when my husband comes home, he's like definitely a meat eater. So we're trying to eat like less large animals at night, but yeah, we compromise, you know, between the two of us. So
The uh, it's funny that you have vegans involved in a zombie story because after you would fight zombies, you would definitely become a vegan. I think.
definitely.
The excuse me, let me back up and just edit this out. Um, are you going to plan on doing a sequel, or is this a standalone, or do you want to have other ideas in mind?
Yeah, there is a sample chapter at the end of book 1 for book 2. It is actually 2 different characters from the same world, from the same high school. So it's their story on that night. And that book is called Stoners versus Moaners. And I think that'll be out in the spring if all goes well. And then I have the prequel to Vegan Teenage Zombie Hunters told from the sidekick's perspective. That is another book I'm working on, and interestingly, like some of my like biggest fans are like, "Well, hurry up and write that one because we want that one more," because they're really loving the sidekick character from book 1. So yeah, I have a lot of work to do.
If your main character could be played by anybody in a movie, who would you want him to be played by?
You know, I've thought about that a lot. There are actresses that I like, but they might actually be too old. So I don't know who would be like the high school version of that. But do you remember Arrested Development?
Yeah, for the most part.
Do you remember the younger girl character in that show? I can't remember her name now.
No.
I'm terrible with names. Um, Her, or maybe like Aubrey Plaza, although she's definitely too old. Do you know Aubrey Plaza from Parks and Rec?
Yes.
And she also had her own zombie movie come out last year.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she did.
What was the name of it?
I cannot remember to save
Ah.
my life all of a sudden. But yeah, she would be perfect, except she's too old. So like a younger version of her. And I don't know who that actress would be.
Uh,
I feel like that's kind of an unusual character type. So you don't see a lot of, you know, young women sort of fitting that mold these days in Hollywood.
with the market so really saturated with zombie lore so much, what made you want to do a zombie story? Because I mean, even before 2014, when you published your book, it, I mean, the market has just been overdone with it since for years now.
I think the people that are really into it are still really into it. So I'm definitely honoring that. And I think sometimes you just have to make yourself happy and not necessarily write for the market. I mean, you can't really time the market in anything. I mean, new zombie shows are being still released all the time, despite the fact that, yes, there is market saturation. So, I think for me as an artist with smaller risk involved, I think, hey, why not, take a chance and do something that kind of spoke to me. I'm a big fan of horror. I love comedic horror, and this was a chance for me to stretch my comedic horror muscles. So, I just wanted to follow that thread and see where it went.
Do you have a chapter of the book prepared for us to read?
All right, so I will read the first chapter, and I will, Chapter 1. I never intended to become a zombie huntress. I had only intended to protest prom, high school's last bastion of patriarchal society. I felt bad for the girls in my school, who flocked to prom like it was a second coming of Christ, complete with double rainbows and unicorns. I would save them from all things prom, the spaghetti straps, push-up bras, and F-me pumps and candy colors. I'd save them from the horror of hair extensions, the tyranny of tooth whitening, and the stupidity of silk-tip manicures. I'd save them from the neon hideousness of fake and baked tans, and from the ultimate indignity, the Brazilian bikini wax. All this ending in the evening's most absurd moment, the deflowering of virgins by dumb jocks in the back of Daddy's old Beamer. Dear sweet Gloria Steinem, it's enough to make me gag. I'd been protesting prom for weeks, standing next to the prom ticket table with a table of my own. My best friend, Koki, who's as quiet as she is loyal, sat dutifully beside me as I handed out my carefully composed Pulitzer-quality flyers like prom and the reinforcement of stereotypical gender roles in our modern society, and not to be outdone, prom and its effects on the developing female mind, the dis-ease of mass consumerism. I secretly slipped in some other flyers like meat is murder and veganism and you fighting the meat industrial complex. I even included, out of the kindness of my heart, a recipe for my favorite vegan gluten-free brownies. The best way to reach people is to bombard them while you have their attention and hope that something or anything sticks. But I wasn't sure if anyone was listening. I needed to be at prom with my bullhorn and picket signs, telling my fellow women they had one last chance to redeem themselves and embrace feminism before it was too late. Even though there's nowhere I'd rather be on a Friday night than staying in, reading Simone de Beauvoir by the fireplace and painting my fingernails black, I knew that being on the scene at prom would be my last chance to save souls. Except prom night did not go as I had imagined. And that is the end of chapter 1.
Very interesting. We'll have to read. You have to buy her book to learn more of the tale that she weaves in her vegan zombie huntress novel.
Definitely.
Where can people go to get more information?
So you can go to my website, www.ggsilverman.com, and from there are links to buy the book on Amazon, where it is available as an ebook and a paperback. The ebook is exclusively at Amazon. However, you may also buy paperbacks through Barnes & Noble's website. And if you want to support your local bookstore, you can go to indiebound.org and you can search for the title of Vegan Teenage Zombie Huntress, and it will pull up. I'll also put in your zip code, and then it'll pull up the local bookstores that are connected to that database, and you should be able to order it from your local bookstore's website as well.
Awesome. Will do. Well, thank you so much again, Gigi, for coming on the show with us.
Thank you, Chris.